spot. Hi everyone. Erica is out today. She's recording an audiobook chapter she agreed to narrate last month. I am Zara, and I am filling in. Let us get started. Most Americans approaching 65 know Medicare exists, but when you ask them what it actually covers, who qualifies, or what it costs, the room goes quiet. Medicare is federal health insurance, not a private plan, not an extension of your employer benefits, and definitely not automatic. This series exists to change that.
Last episode of the Social Security series covered Medicare basics as a preview. So today we go deeper into the full program. Medicare was created by the Social Security Amendments of 1965, specifically Title 18 of the Social Security Act. President Johnson signed it into law at the Harry Truman Library in Independence, Missouri, and that law created the foundation we still use today.
At the highest level, Medicare covers hospital stays, doctor visits, outpatient care, and prescription drugs. It does not cover 100% of your costs, and it does not cover everything. You still pay premiums, deductibles, and co-insurance in most situations. Think of it like a very large insurance policy with real gaps.
Here is the confusion that tricks people up the most. Medicare is not Medicaid. They are completely separate federal programs with different eligibility rules, different funding mechanisms, and different coverage structures. Medicare is also not free, even for people who qualify for premium-free Part A. Costs still apply, and we will cover every one of them.
Munch. Welcome to the Medicare series. Over 30 episodes, we will walk through Parts A, B, C, and D, along with every enrollment window, every cost structure, and the strategies that keep out-of-pocket spending under control. Episode 1 covers the foundation, what Medicare is, who qualifies, and how the program is structured. One round of names, and then the real work starts.
Elena here. I came to make the contingency plan interesting.
Timer here. I came to hold space for the reading that the default missed.
Marcus here. I came to treat the hard part as the training, not the obstacle.
Okay, preamble over. Straight to work.
There are 3 distinct ways to qualify for Medicare, and they operate under completely different rules. The first is age 65. The second is disability, specifically receiving Social Security disability insurance for at least 24 months. The third is an immediate health condition, end-stage renal disease, or ESRD, or amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, which most people know as ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease.
The age 65 path is by far the most common, and roughly 10,000 Americans turn 65 every single day. If you are already collecting Social Security retirement benefits, your Medicare enrollment is essentially automatic. You receive your card in the mail about 3 months before your birthday. If you are not yet collecting Social Security, you have to actively sign up.
The disability path surprises most people. If you are approved for Social Security disability insurance, you do not get Medicare right away. You wait 24 months from your first SSDI payment, and that is 2 full years of disability before your Medicare starts. The one exception is ALS, where Medicare begins the month your SSDI benefits start with no waiting period.
End-stage renal disease opens a Medicare pathway regardless of your age. If your kidneys have failed and you require dialysis or have had a kidney transplant, you qualify for Medicare even if you are 35 years old. Coverage generally begins with the 4th month of dialysis treatment, or in some cases the 1st month if you are on home dialysis. Good point, Zara, because that same no waiting period exception for ALS also covers ESRD transplant recipients.
One requirement all 3 paths share. You must be a United States citizen or a lawful permanent resident who has lived in the country for at least 5 consecutive years. Medicare is a federal program funded by payroll taxes, and that residency requirement applies regardless of how long you have worked or how much you have contributed.
Medicare and Medicaid are the two programs that people confuse more than any other pair of government programs in existence. Even people enrolled in one of them for years sometimes cannot accurately describe the other. They are not the same program, they do not work the same way, and qualifying for one does not mean you qualify for the other.
Medicare is a purely federal program administered by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or CMS. It is funded almost entirely by the Federal Insurance Contributions Act payroll tax, the FICA deduction on your paycheck, plus monthly premiums and general federal revenue. TOE eligibility is based on age, disability status, or a qualifying health condition, not on your income.
Medicaid is a joint federal and state program, which means every state runs its own version within federal guidelines. Eligibility is based primarily on income and assets, not age. Each state sets its own income thresholds, and states like California and New York expanded Medicaid dramatically under the Affordable Care Act of 2010, while others have much stricter limits. Thank you, Fatima, because that distinction is exactly what trips people up.
There is a group called dual eligibles, people who qualify for both Medicare and Medicaid at the same time. This is more common than you might expect, particularly among low-income seniors and people with significant disabilities. When you are dual eligible, Medicare pays first and Medicaid fills in many of the gaps, including premiums, deductibles, and cost sharing, making it the most comprehensive coverage available in the program.
The programs differ by exactly 2 letters in their names, and by miles in how they operate. Imagine a family standing at a Medicare information table at a community center, asking for help with their Medicaid renewal. It happens at every single enrollment event. The fastest way to keep them straight: Medicare starts with age. Medicaid starts with means, as in means, testing and income limits.
Part A is Medicare's hospital insurance, covering inpatient hospital stays, skilled nursing facility care, home health services, and hospice. Most people who reach 65 qualify for Part A without paying a monthly premium, but the key word is most. Premium-free Part A depends entirely on how long you or your spouse worked and paid Medicare taxes.
The threshold is 40 quarters, which works out to 10 years of covered employment paying Medicare taxes. As long as you or your spouse paid Medicare taxes through the Federal Insurance Contributions Act, or FICA, for at least 40 quarters, your Part A premium is zero. Every paycheck you have ever received with a FICA deduction was building toward that threshold.
If you fall short of 40 quarters, you still qualify for Medicare at 65. But you pay a monthly premium for Part A. In 2026, that premium is $505 per month if you have fewer than 30 quarters, and $278 per month if you have between 30 and 39 quarters. Those are significant monthly costs that catch a lot of people completely off guard.
Great point, Marcus. And here is good news for people who spent years out of the workforce. You can qualify for premium-free Part A through your spouse's work record, not just your own. This applies if you are currently married, widowed, or divorced, as long as the marriage lasted at least 10 years. A spouse who raised children and did not work outside the home for 40 quarters can still receive premium-free Part A, based on their partner's employment history.
One important caveat: some state and local government employees hired before 1986 were not required to pay Medicare taxes, meaning they may reach 65 without 40 quarters, despite decades of public service. Teachers, firefighters, and police officers in certain states should check their Medicare tax history well before their 65th birthday to avoid a surprise premium bill.
Medicare is divided into 4 parts, and understanding how they relate to each other is the key to every good enrollment decision. Part A covers hospital insurance. Part B covers medical insurance, including doctor visits and outpatient care. Part C is Medicare Advantage, and Part D covers prescription drugs. Every cost and coverage choice you will make in Medicare flows from understanding these four buckets.
Parts A and B together are called Original Medicare, administered directly by the federal government. Original Medicare works at virtually any hospital or doctor in the country that accepts Medicare assignment, with no networks and no referrals required for specialists. The trade-off is that there is also no annual out-of-pocket maximum, which is why many people add additional coverage on top.
Part C, or Medicare Advantage, is the private insurance alternative. When you enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan, you are still in Medicare, but a private insurance company delivers your Part A and Part B benefits, usually bundling drug coverage and extras like dental, vision, and hearing. To test, over 33 million Americans chose Medicare Advantage in 2026, making it the majority path. Wait until you see how the plan trade-offs actually work in practice, because that is a full episode by itself.
Part D covers prescription drugs as a standalone plan paired with Original Medicare or bundled into most Medicare Advantage plans automatically. Part D plans have their own premiums, deductibles, and tiered formularies, meaning different drugs cost different amounts. The Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 capped out-of-pocket drug costs at $2,000 per year starting in 2025, which is the most significant Part D change in 2 decades.
There is a fifth layer that does not have its own letter, Medigap, officially called Medicare Supplement Insurance. Medigap is sold by private insurers and fills the cost-sharing gaps that Original Medicare leaves behind, including the 20% coinsurance, the hospital deductible, and the skilled nursing facility coinsurance. It is completely optional, but for people who want predictability in their healthcare spending, Medigap is often how they get it.
Here is the misconception that gets people into real financial trouble. They hear premium-free Part A and conclude that Medicare is free. It is not. Premium-free Part A means you do not pay a monthly premium for hospital insurance, and that is the only cost that disappears. Every other cost structure in Medicare remains in full effect, and those costs can add up to thousands of dollars per year.
Part B comes with a standard monthly premium of $185 in 2026. That premium is deducted directly from your Social Security check if you are already collecting benefits, or you pay it quarterly if you are not. Almost everyone on Medicare pays this premium, and it is not income-based at the standard rate, though higher earners pay more.
Beyond the Part B premium, Original Medicare has a Part B deductible of $257 in 2026, and then an 80-20 cost-sharing split for most services. Medicare pays 80% of the approved amount, and you pay 20%. The critical point, Elena, is that there is no annual out-of-pocket maximum in Original Medicare, and a major illness can generate unlimited 20% coinsurance bills.
If your income exceeds certain thresholds, you pay an income-related monthly adjustment amount, or IRMAA, on top of your standard Part B premium. The IRMAA brackets are based on your tax return from 2 years prior, so your 2026 Medicare premium is based on your 2024 income. In 2026, the highest earners pay $628.90 per month for Part B alone.
If you forget everything else in this video, remember, qualifying for Medicare is not the same as affording Medicare. Premium-free Part A is real, but Part B premiums, deductibles, co-insurance, and potentially IRMAA mean that Medicare comes with significant monthly costs. 2. Know your numbers before day 1 of your coverage, not after the first bill arrives.
Drop your biggest Medicare question in the comments below, and we will address the most common ones in a future episode. Your questions help shape where this series goes. Okay, it is quiz time. Let's find out what's stuck. Think through each question carefully before you answer.
3 seconds to like, 2 seconds to subscribe, and a lifetime of our gratitude.
Medicare was created by which law? And in what year? The correct answer is D. The Social Security Amendments of 1965, which added Title 18 to the Social Security Act.
How long must a person receive Social Security disability insurance benefits before becoming eligible for Medicare? The correct answer is D. 24 months, which is 2 full years of receiving SSDI payments before Medicare coverage begins.
K. How many quarters of Medicare taxed work are required to receive Part A without a monthly premium? The correct answer is B. 40 quarters, which equals 10 years of covered employment, paying Medicare payroll taxes.
Here is your one-sentence summary. Medicare is a federal health insurance program created in 1965, available to people 65 and older, those on SSDI for at least 24 months, and people with end-stage renal disease, or ALS. It is not free, even when Part A costs you nothing.
3 years from now, you will thank yourself for learning the difference between Medicare and Medicaid, and for checking your quarters before you actually need to enroll.
Next episode, the one rule about Part A hospital coverage that catches nearly every new enrollee off guard. Wait until you see how the benefit period resets when you have 2 hospital stays in the same year.
Subscribe to the Medicare series so you do not miss any of the 30 episodes covering enrollment deadlines, plan comparisons, and cost strategies.
Equity is a design question, not an afterthought.
Dada got a message from Erica. She says, "The team made this look easy and she knows exactly how hard it is."
Zara, signing off.